Welcome back to G&G, the place to be for everything that's not
D&D.
I'm Eliza.
And I'm Jonathan.
I am so excited that you guys are here today. We are doing another review for you all. Jonathan, what are we reviewing today?
We are reviewing Delta Green.
Ooh, green with envy.
Yeah,
Everyone
and like our
else will
backdrop.
be.
Yeah,
So let's get into it, baddies.
But before we do that, let's go ahead. I want you to go ahead and do me a favor. Click that like and or subscribe button. Click the bell so you get notified in case we end up reviewing your favorite game.
And you'll be the first to know.
Indeed. Also, swing on by our Patreon. If you would like to continue to support the channel in other ways rather than just viewership, we've got plenty of fun goodies over there. Bloopers.
Of which there are plenty.
Our very first video, which is full of bloopers.
It's just a giant blooper.
Yeah. And you'll also be able to see these episodes before they premiere on YouTube or wherever it is you're consuming podcasts. So,
yeah. Well, let's get into it.
All right. So, Delta Green, I'm going to go ahead and lead this off here.
Please do.
This was actually a scenario for Call of Cthulhu, a modern scenario, initially published in 1992. So that's when the first one was. It's about a secretive government organization that is attempting to, I don't want to say stop, but contain the mythos and stop the knowledge of it from spreading to everyday people by nearly any means necessary. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. I became introduced to this setting many years ago. Never got to play it, but was really intrigued by it. So yeah. As we review, we're going to have our 5 categories: setting, art, system playability, ease of use, and product quality.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about first thoughts before we really get into it. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Eliza, first thoughts about Delta Green?
I actually really like Delta Green. I think it's very special and unique in the sense that it gives you a Cthulhu story, but it's great for people that aren't totally sold on Call of Cthulhu. It adds a lot of real world aspects that help immediately get you into the zone or the world of the game a little easier. It's easier to suspend your disbelief, I believe. And it's a great game for creativity. I think it leaves a lot of room for both GMs and players to really take so little and make something really great. So automatically, I do like it. I think it's a very unique game. What about you?
Well, so we have to realize this came out in the 90s during kind of the X-Files craze. I'm not sure if X-Files was out at the time when 1992. If not, we'll put it down there.
Someone tell us in the comments
below.
Or
it'll appear on screen, so that amazing video editor we have might be able to know that after the fact. But X-Files, UFO conspiracy theories, all that was just super in pop culture. So this was kind of, in a way, a love letter of like, what if aliens were real, but what if they're the Migu? Very interesting. But this is the newer version of it, which kind of, for better or worse, kind of really brushes some of that under the rug, as in the fact, like, UFOs aren't necessarily the hot topic anymore. And there's grainy videos of it made from a, giant shoulder-mounted camera. Yeah, so it's changed over time, so... Let's move on and talk about setting. I'll lead us up. The premise is very simple. You're someone who knows about the mythos. You're typically government agents just because they're the ones that are mainly poking around. But by government agents, doesn't necessarily mean FBI, CIA. Maybe you work for the USGS, the U.S. Geological Society. Maybe you're a park ranger, or maybe you're just a farmer who wandered too far into their crop circle. So now you know the truth. You've been recruited by Delta Green, this shadowy, unofficial/official government agency that is trying to keep it under wraps. So you have to balance all of that, and also get more into the systems later. You can take it a step further. In addition to the investigative, is like, what effect does this have on someone who is essentially now like a spy but not really a spy. So
you could be either, I think this is the example I was using earlier when we were discussing our thoughts on the game, is you could play like a 20-year veteran of some kind that this is their everyday. You've seen a Cthulhu monster. You've had to survive the horrors. Paired with someone else at the table who could be playing a random citizen who's a coffee shop barista who saw this 2 months ago and has now been recruited to fight aliens in the aliens in the sense that we don't know what it is, so we're going to call it alien.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that juxtaposition is so fun to play at a table. So
with that, I'm going to give it a B because for A, it's really going to wow me. It's actually a really simple premise, but I think it's executed well enough. And I'll get into more of why I think it's an even better idea. But what's your grade for it there, Eliza?
I also gave it a B. I put that it's very fun and creative for players and GMs, but it's not necessarily the most innovative setting. It's still good. Yeah. It's still enjoyable.
Kiss,
but
keep it simple, stupid. Like, some to quote young people nowadays, it's not doing too much. Let's move on to something that you really enjoy. Let's talk about the art.
So, if you've watched anything on our channel, you know that art is my favorite topic of discussion here, and especially when we're reviewing things. I'm very visual, and this is probably the lowest grade I've given anything so far, which is a D. And my reason for that is that it's very clip art. I took a picture from someone's Facebook and AI'd it to look more interesting, in my opinion. I don't feel like
this was before AI.
Adding,
it was kind of more of a filter, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
but it's not, to me, it wasn't really adding to my immersion. When I went through the book, the best art, in my opinion, was the very first one, and it wasn't even on the chapter page. It was just part of like the first 2 pages where they kind of make it cool looking, and then you get to the title page, and everything else just felt very like generic, if I could say so. Everything was very much just random people with firearms, or the most typical looking army people you've ever seen. I didn't feel like the aliens or the monsters really evoked what I needed them. I needed them to give me more. It felt very lacking in that we took a few steps and then just quit. So I gave it a D.
We're a small publishing house, and we're saving money on art, which you got to cut corners where you can. I give it a C because I feel like the part of it, because it's not necessarily creative, it does look like, and even in the layout, like this government like murder board kind of thing. So it does have a little bit. It's not completely terrible, but it's definitely not. It's just not great. Like,
compared to what I've seen in other books, especially the Cthulhu books that I now own.
Yeah, it gets
a lot of Cthulhu.
It gets the job done.
It could be more. Yeah. I do agree with you, though. I do like that there's like little notes, like scribbled and like coffee stains and blood drops, and like that's fun.
It's got an interesting layout, but that's not necessarily art.
I'm talking about like the illustrations,
there you go,
pictures, and that they just weren't doing it for me.
So system playability, if you know Call of Cthulhu, specifically 6th edition, you're going to know Delta Green. It's really just a setting for Call of Cthulhu. So I think there are 2 real interesting additions to it. One of them is lethality. Essentially, bullets hurt, don't get shot. So that's kind of neat. It's got a little bit of that, fear the barrel of the gun, spy motif kind of thing. The other interesting part, which I touched on earlier, is the bonds system. In Call of Cthulhu, you have essentially sanity, which is your slow descent into madness. Your one way of resisting it is your bonds. And by default, they're usually not people involved in the scenario. Someone you go home and interact with allows you to regain sanity, but that also gives the game master, things to target and stuff like that. Like, oh, you're heading off in the middle of the night again to go do something secretive that you don't tell me. So needless to say, your wife's probably going to get upset. People are going to worry about you. They could become targets of the mythos. So with that, I'll give it an A. Like those little extras there, Call of Cthulhu system works well. It's very playable. Everyone knows percentiles. I have 75% chance to succeed. We all know what that means. And those 2 little extra bits kind of, make it a little bit different. So I'm going to give it an A. So there you go, Delta Green. So what are your takes on the system playability?
As someone who was a player, I haven't had the chance to GM Delta Green, but I have GM'd a couple different things of Cthulhu. But as a player, this was sort of my first actual introduction to anything Cthulhu. I'm pretty sure that this game was my very first introduction to anything Cthulhu. And I felt like I was able to pick it up pretty quick, all things considered. I was still a very new player, but once I got the roles down, and it wasn't difficult to participate in even combat. And I felt like that was very easy for me to do. So I gave them an A on this category, actually.
So now let's talk about ease of use. Like I said, at least in regards to the product, I've run the game several times. I find it relatively easy to find pretty much what I need. I think I remember one time looking for something, I couldn't find it, so I just had to make the call in the moment. But that's it. I mean, it's relatively intuitively laid out. Percentile systems, like we're talking about in the systems, it's easy to figure out. Everyone knows what 75% is. Everyone knows what 50% is. So for ease of use, A. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of tables. And that's the one time that their kind of simplistic art style does help. What about your ease of use there?
I think we're in very much agreement in regard to this book. I also gave it an A for ease of use. In a little bit of a different aspect, I really appreciated that the character summary, like as far as character creation, was so simple, because you wouldn't think you'd have to really think about that, but there's several books where it's kind of spread throughout. Cthulhu is really good, and Delta Green is obviously amongst those in regards to making sure there's always a summary of everything so that your session 0 can be very efficient and quick.
Well, I think also just mentioning another small product they have, I believe it's called, oh goodness, they have a whole product, I'll put the name and the picture of it up here, that it's literally like 50 pre-generated characters. It's good. Totally good stuff, especially because I think as we'll go, the ease of use, and it's easy to pick this up. That's something I didn't talk about earlier, is that this is everyone who knows everyone who knows the X-Files, Law and Order, Criminal Minds. It's that with tentacles. So it's real easy for people to get into it. It's real easy to pick your favorite Criminal Minds character.
Easy to find inspiration to help you learn how to play somebody.
Sorry for kind of stepping on you there, but that just reminded me of that. And because you were talking about, it's easy to make characters. Well, yeah, it's because you really just had a nice template, so that was a really good product. And what I like about this too is that we played the last equation, which is a scenario. They've got several scenarios that are short.
They do. Several amazing pre-generated things. So great for short shots and great for episodic style gaming. If you want to do something longer with Call of Cthulhu, but do it more episodic, where it's a different adventure every time, people can keep their characters.
You also can have people swapping in and out, because you can have a different cell. Like, so I worked with these guys last time, but now he's not here for whatever reason. So now we've got, Jim over there who's someone different.
I think that if I had to describe this in one word, flexibility. It's a very flexible game for the needs of whoever is playing it and whoever is running it. It's very conducive to a variety of gaming styles, which I do appreciate a lot. You could make a lot of crunch in this if you really wanted to, but you could also play it very narratively, which is what we typically like to run, which can be fun, and it can be a good mixture of both. My other comment in regards to ease of use is I felt like it was pretty easy, all things considered, to find answers that maybe me as a GM or a player would want established or to know right away or throughout the game. When I was flipping through, I didn't feel like there were any hidden nuances and there's the answer tucked away in like the last 3 words of a random paragraph that I never thought would be the thing for the answer. Even though throughout the pages there's little notes and things that are scattered, so sometimes it might feel a little cluttered, they're still really good in the format. So ease of use, I gave an A as well.
So quality of the product, I really don't have much to say. I give it a B because it's well put together, but it's not exactly, oh my God, this is the most incredible. It gets the job done. So that's all. You can buy the player's handbook, which are the agent handbook. This is what it is. They now have restocked the slipcase where you can get this and the handler's guide, the GM's guide, with it as well. Pretty good value, I'd like to think, if it's something you're doing. So I'm giving it a B. In regards
I
to
guess
that.
I gave it a little higher just because I gave it an A. But my reason for that is I'm judging this book sort of, I guess, a little collectively because I know all the other things that it can come with. If you're running Delta Green, could you run it with just this? I suppose so.
Yeah, you actually don't really need the
likelihood
handler's
that
book,
someone
but-
probably will run this by itself without anything additional is quite low. When I was working in the gaming store, most of the people that bought it with something else. They usually bought it with one of the expansion short shots or with the player's guide or whatnot. I guess this is the player's guide. I forget the proper term. They have
handler's
a
guide?
handlers.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
the
Handler's
GM's guide.
guide. And so I feel like in regards to what it is as a product, it is older. It is an older book, right? You said it was in 1992.
The original. This is the reprint. This is the new one that's been updated.
Never mind. I don't know why my whole thought, this whole time, I take that back. I give it a B.
Oh, you give it a B. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, no. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. Final thoughts, our plus and minuses. I'll let you go first since I feel like I've been leading the conversation in this whole one.
I do feel that it was lacking a lot in regards to all the little details that help you immediately get immersed or interested in a book. However, it's simple and it gives GMs and players a lot of material to mold how they will. And I think there is a very special place in the gaming community for that. There are lots of people that like to do more homebrew things. There are lots of people that like to build on something that's like nothing and create their very own, very custom. And I think this gives a lot of material. It has a good variety of skills, all things considered. It gives you option upon option of what your character could be. And while it might be lacking, it's not limited. And I appreciate that about it. So that's my thought.
So, the nice thing about just overall Delta Green, it has a lot of scenarios, a lot of just quick pickups, and it does answer the old Call of Cthulhu question of why would my character ever do this more than once?
Yes.
A lot of Cthulhu games, like, oh, now I'm scarred. Why would you actively seek this thing out anymore to learn anymore? Like, at that point in time, it is thrusted upon you. Delta Green kind of solves that. It is your quote-unquote sworn duty to protect the United States. It's if you like procedural dramas, X-Files, Fringe, all those Criminal Minds cop shows. Yeah, 911. See, now when you say that, I think of the old Rescue 911 with William Shatner.
That's not the one I'm referencing.
I was like, okay.
I'm not referencing that.
All right, yeah. So, but overall, I give it a plus. So that gives our final grade for this a solid B.
It's a good book, and it's a great game. You know, it's just if you're looking for something super visual, this is about creativity and kind of building on your own thing, and that's why I think it's good and why it's fun.
If you had never heard of
still a passing grade.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you've never heard of Call of Cthulhu, this might be a hard one to pick up, but most people have heard of Cthulhu and then head into this. So
that was my other extra thought I was going to say. Whenever I tell people about this, I always say for people that might not be sold on Cthulhu or on the, on
I guess you could do it the other way. Yeah.
This is great because it doesn't all have to be about that. Like you said, it could be about like kind of the cop drama show, what's going on with their family, really leaning into the why are you gone every Friday night? I know.
Because that's Cthulhu
you can
time.
you can really go there, and it's different because it's a familiar format we've all seen and that we've all grown up with and that we love. The cop drama shows, the spy. It feeds on those little childhood. When I grow up, and then you sprinkle in the spice.
Tentacle monster shows
of
up,
Cthulhu, and then it's kind of like I say this is a gateway drug to Cthulhu.
It's funny. I did it kind of the other way around slightly, but that's fine. Either way, it's a B. I totally recommend it if you're looking for some modern Cthulhu. With
as
a badge.
always, and as always, if you've already played it, tell us about your game. We always love to hear about it. And if you are new to it and you get it, please tell us how your game went. Because again, we love to hear about it and we want more of your thoughts. If you have a different opinion or a different grade, please share it below.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you.
To quote
all.
my players when I've run the last equation twice, math is hard. Math is hard. So
math is
hard, but we like those likes. Leave a like, leave a comment.
Liking is easy.
All right.
Bye, baddies.